As we're waiting for LinkedIn, man, I just want to say thank you for showing up for this. And there's a bigger part of this I'll go into during the podcast, but like, just so grateful for you, grateful for a friendship. I actually looked the other day. We became friends like literally almost a couple of days to a year, like right now. So just the
All right.
friendship, man, that we've maintained in a year has just been really incredible. So I just want to say thanks.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So this is still waiting on LinkedIn right now.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, love the. It's normally not this long, so
Technology is our best friend and worst.
yeah, for sure. Okay, so we got it now. So I'm gonna hide you and get into the podcast, my man. Hey everyone, welcome to Show Up to Win present Show Up to Hill. I'm your host Dwayne Morton, Mr. Show Up to Win himself, and holy smoke, this is episode 30. This is the 30th episode in 30 days that we're able to create, and I'm really really excited about the person that I'm bringing on right now. What's up, Sean?
What's going on?
So Sean was one of the first people that I reached out about this thing. So at 9 o'clock in the morning, when I reached out to everybody, he was the first person, and he was absolute yes. And then I was trying to get him scheduled, and we had an issue getting him scheduled. And then we got him scheduled, and then I reached out and he was like, "Hey," I was like, "Can you do this?" And he's like, "Yeah." Well, I had somebody else that had to cancel, and it's like swap up. We had all this like, and then to find out that you're my day 30th guest is flipping amazing, dude. I am so grateful for you to help me along with this journey, but also just being a friend of mine. And so I'm gonna read your bio and just let you receive the bio, and then we'll talk about it, and then we'll jump on and we'll have a discussion about men's mental health. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me.
Absolutely. All right. Sean Young is a shaman, herbalist, educator, and host of Recovery Out Loud podcast and co host of the Brothers of Recovery podcast. After serving in the military and overcoming addiction, Sean dedicated his life to understanding what it truly means to heal. Through his work with various shamans, he blends practical coaching with herbal medicine, Norse spirituality, meditation, and energy work, helping people move beyond surviving into genuine transformation. His philosophy is simple but powerful. Pain is the catalyst to healing. How's that land for you, man? Because I know you've been through a lot of stuff too.
Absolutely. I've been through a ton, and we'll touch on a little bit of what I've been through shortly. But over this past, I don't know, 6 or 7 months, one thing has rang true, and it was that philosophy that pain is the catalyst to all healing. And that's really stuck with me because every time that I've encountered something within this past 7 months, there's been pain that has been with it, right? There's a level of pain, whether it's an astronomical amount of pain or just a very minimal amount of pain, right? It's the pain that we go through is the catalyst to where we want to be, where we eventually land up.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so I'm gonna just hop into this discussion and this question. I've asked this question to 29 other people, so you're number 30 for men's mental health awareness. What do you feel like we're doing correctly? What do you feel like we missed the boat on? And what do you feel like we can do better?
Hmm. I like how you asked it in that order, right? We never want to lead off with a negative because it overshadows everything else, like the way that you asked that. So I would say what we're doing great. We are, I feel that men, especially men that are taking this very seriously, we're actually talking about things. We're talking about a magnitude of issues, stigmas, as well as the way that we're being treated and what we're doing about it to make things better. I think that's really big because historically, men, we don't talk about the problems. Right? There's been trailblazers that have talked about their problems, but it's really ushered in this great area in which we can open up and be vulnerable and share those things. Um, I think I think another big thing is just using social media the way that it's intended to, right? Getting the message out there, sharing the message, sharing that men are struggling, that we're not trying to discount women and their experience, making our experience no, and sharing it. I think that's very important. What we're what I feel like we could improve on is getting out and speaking publicly about it, like not just on social media but out there in public, right? Like having, and I hate saying rallies because typically if you say a rally it sounds awful, especially like in the back, but like having gatherings where men are able to share their stories, right? Not just inviting men to sit in but women too, right? Creating a culture where we create safety around men and around women, and maybe breaking some of those stigmas and those barriers down little by little, chucking away. I don't see any organizations happening, and that you know somebody said on social media, and while I don't agree with what they ultimately said, but there was part of something that they said that I agreed with, and it was, if men are so worried about men's mental health, where are the marches? Right? Where are the gatherings? Right? Why are we not doing these things? That to me is a big one, right? Not saying creating disruption, but I mean there's plenty of things that we could do, right? I also think that I heard something the other day on some big metal artist said something, and it really stuck out to me. There's big backlash over it, but he said talk therapy alone is not going to help heal men. We need action, right? Talking about our feelings alone is not going to fix things. We need things to bring and give us purpose. And that's where I feel like a big disconnect is that we as men lose our sense of purpose, lose, and that right there, the sense of purpose can deteriorate everything in the rest of us, right? So if we have like, if we have a an injury, like a physical injury, that creates our depression. It's been linked scientifically that physical injuries, create a decline, right? And then so there goes that sense of purpose, because if you're injured, you can't really fulfill your purpose, and then everything starts spiraling downhill. So
Yeah.
when we begin to have that sense of purpose, that sense of community, I think everything will work out great. So long formed answer. Yeah,
No,
those are
man,
what
it's a
I
great
do.
answer. So I think that one of the reasons we don't get together and rally and do those type of things is because it's not safe.
Yeah.
Because then guess what? We're going to turn that shit into a competition.
Yes.
That's the other part.
Yes.
And then guess what? You go get angry man with more angry man to get more angry. You go like the emotion aspect isn't the same. Like I think that's also why, and I'm throwing just the umbrella part of this, is that if most men are dealing with the lack of purpose, then they're also lacking the sense of self. So then if I don't feel respected, am I going to respect you? Or respect that other person? Probably not. That's probably not a good. It's probably not a good mix, man. I,
I don't know.
I think what we're doing on social media right now is bringing awareness up, and when you bring awareness up, then you can actually keep people accountable. I feel like that was the step, and that was one of the reasons why this kind of started. I felt was to, where can we build a community of people who really really care, and then how can we trailblaze it, and that was kind of the vision of it. There's more to it, but you know this project wasn't. It was, hey, let's see if we can get 30 people. What what people without a voice can I give a voice to? and we did for certain people. And then at the same time, I was able to get people who already had a voice on, like people like yourself that have a podcast and have another podcast, and like you already have a following. I think that's important, is when you can find those people who already have a community and then be able to like kind of create the Avengers is what I was doing. The
Oh
male
yeah, I
Avengers.
get it. Yeah, yeah. Avengers Assemble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for me is I know your story and I don't want to get into stories, but also you're a veteran. You have a different way to alchemize what you've been through to help others. How was the Sean before you experienced that purpose, man? Like 24 hours before the purpose changed, where were you?
I feel like my purpose always changes. Like my purpose never stays the same, and it's seasons, right? Like we run through seasons of our life. But when I first started my journey, and even the 24 hours before, I would say I was terrified, right? I think that any big change in our life brings a level of fear, and anybody who says that is lying. Because there's so many elements. Fear of the unknown, fear of success, fear of failure. Because the fear of success can be. I've seen people, sabotage their path because they're afraid of being successful.
Right here.
Yeah, I mean, we've all done it. I was terrified, man. I didn't know what the future looked like. I knew what was behind me and what was next to me, and what was next to me is no longer next to me, and what was behind me is far behind me. And so there was a lot of fear, but anticipation too, right? Like I think that we can live in duality. I think in this world we live in, it's hard to live in duality. And for me, it was fear and excitement, right? Fear and anticipation, fear of what the path would look like, fear of the unknown, but also excitement about the future because something new, a new adventure, new exciting adventure. Uh, I just really looked forward to it because I didn't know, but also I was terrified of it because I didn't know.
Yeah. I, one thing you just said was like where a lot of people have the fear of failure and other people have the fear of success. I think it's the fear of change because
Yeah, me too.
once you get comfortable, you're like, I don't want to change. Like I kind of like not being challenged and not be having to be invited to do stuff. Like I kind of like just sitting on the couch and watching TV. Um, I love what you said about there's this fear and then there's this excitement. How can I do both? I think one of the things for people like me and you that have voices, and then we also felt like our voice wasn't heard for the longest time, and now we got people wanting to hear more from us.
Hmm.
Like you
Hmm.
know, how did that land for you, man? When people were like, "Hey, I want to listen to more of you."
First, I didn't believe it. At first, I thought they were just blowing smoke up my ass, just for whatever purpose. But the more that I started to be introduced into healing and recovery communities, the more that I started to open up to the idea and feel grateful that I was given the opportunities to share my story. And like the very first time, I was terrified, absolutely terrified, because for the first time, I'm talking about the real things that I did that I held shame for.
Mm-hmm.
But the more that I started, sharing my story and getting opportunities, better opportunities, or even opportunities that aren't better, um, being able to help somebody else, grow their audience, that to me is amazing because the the way that I started viewing myself and my story changed. I went from how are people going to perceive this right? Like I'm such a terrible human being because I've made these decisions and I've made these choices to, yeah, I made these choices and now hopefully somebody else doesn't have to make those, right? Or maybe somebody
R-
can relate to those decisions that I made or those actions that happened. And something I say changes the way that they think about it. So I've been blessed, honestly. And I'm just grateful for every opportunity I get to share my story.
I love that. Because the gratitude is what's the catalyst for all this stuff. I mean, I know you talk about pain. Pain
Yeah.
is there.
Yeah.
There's a part for you that pain is the catalyst too. For me, was gratitude. I think the
Yeah.
pain part wasn't as necessary as the gratitude
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not
And
taking stuff for granted.
that's the great thing about this about our journeys is they all different, right? So like for you, gratitude was the was the catalyst. For me, pain was because I've lived my life being grateful for things, and it's great and it's awesome and it feels good to have gratitude and to like receive gratitude. But for me, like I had to physically, metaphorically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, I had to get my shit kicked in. And it's all different for each one of us. So
Yeah, I love the fact that you put that, you said that, was that it looks different for everyone. That's why we have different people to lead us and to mentor us and those type of things. Uh, so for you, man, let's talk about the power of mentorship and the people that inspired you, and then also the people that you feel that have came to you and said, "Hey, you inspired me, Sean."
mm. So I'm going to name drop. I don't normally do this, but for this, I feel it's important. There's one person right off the bat, off the top of my head, that I can say inspired me, and she still does to this day. 6 years later, after I started my journey, almost seven, and that's Jen Galvin. She was the woman who pretty much gave birth to all of Alaska's peer support that we know now. When I lived in Alaska and I started on my path, I met her. I'm going to be completely honest. At first, I didn't really like her just because I didn't understand her personality the way that I do now. But I was going through this class with her, and at the end of the class, I had to share my story. And to this day, I still have the paper, the evaluation paper that she gave me sitting by my bed as a reminder to me when I feel horrible about myself. I read this paper and how inspired she was by my story. So it goes two ways. It's a give and receive, right? Like she inspired me, and therefore I inspired her. And I feel like those kind of dynamics, those relationships are important, right? Because it keeps us on our toes, right? So Dwayne, like you and I, we talk pretty frequently, right? And there's things that you say that inspire you or inspire me, and there's things I say that inspire you, and that keeps us not in competition, but it keeps us leveling ourselves up, right? So if we're staying stagnant, like you said, being comfortable is like one of the biggest killers for us, right? So if we piggyback off of each other and you're like, hey, I want to have you as a guest on this, and I'm like, okay, cool, I want to have you as a guest on a panel on this, right? Like we're helping level each other up. So that inspiration is really important. You inspire the shit out of me, Dwayne. I'm just gonna be honest, like you did, man, and you continue to do. And I think everybody that I encounter gives me some form of inspiration because like everybody's life is so drastically different, right? Like I know for a fact I wasn't raised like you, but there are parts of your story I can relate to, and that inspires me. And so, yeah, I find inspiration. I try to look for inspiration in everything that I do and everybody I encounter.
Man, that's amazing. So for me, I'll name drop. Melvin Turner Sr. was one for me. He was just like, your attitude controls your altitude. And I talk about being in Jim Rohn's mentorship. That the sorry, his mentor tree. It's through Melvin. So it was like, wow, this dude is connected to Jim Rohn. But then also Melvin mentored Jim Rohn in public speaking. So then he had not only the authority influence of me, but also these other ones came in, and I saw how much how impactful they were. But I would say that one was just the most. That wasn't a basketball. It wasn't. It was just, hey, come out of thin air, boom. I want to help you. Okay. Um, what you said about me inspiring you, you inspire me. I think that's the beautiful thing, and I love that we're not in competition. We're just like, hey, if you get there faster than me, let me know, and I'll put my hand and raise you up here. Vice versa. Like, I feel like that's the way we've been for a whole year. Um, the beautiful part of that is most men don't do that. It's a competition. And how much more free is it that we can say and say, hey man, it's not a competition. Like, I want your podcast to be extremely successful. I want my podcast to be extremely successful. Like, they both can do the same thing at the same time and reach different audiences. It's actually the real true sign of abundance. Us being living abundantly is that, well, there's enough people out there to support both.
So, I learned at a young age, and then I continued to learn through the army. Uh, that I don't want to be in competition with other people. Yes, competition is great in certain arenas of things, right? I don't want to be in competition with somebody because that means somebody is getting pushed down at the expense of somebody being raised up. And if we're doing that in these spheres, right, like in podcasting, or we're in, in other arenas, like just talking about men's mental health, sharing our story, whatever, somebody has to get pushed down in order for somebody to get elevated. But that doesn't necessarily have to be the case, right? We can hold each other up, pick each other up, strap a fucking, sorry for the language, strap
You're good.
strap a strap a rocket to the back and shoot for the moon. You know what I mean? Um, nobody, we don't have to tear each other down to build each other up. It's important.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the tear down part. I mean, it's, for me, man, competition was like what fueled me. Like, I was looking for competition like, I find two ants that are crawling. Okay, which one do I think is going to be cross that line faster, man? That was the way my brain worked the whole entire time of my life. And whenever I was playing with Matchbox cars, okay, which car can go the farthest? Which car can go? Like, I would just sit there and do that all day. And the reason that I found freedom in the fact that I don't have to be in competition with people. Holy shit, man. That is the one of the most freeing things is like when I meet people and I don't feel like, hey, I can just lift up and support. That's been one of the most freeing things in the world for me. And you know, one of the things about here, one of the things about I wanted you on is you're a shaman. We haven't had a shaman on, so I'm curious about your perspective with men's mental health from that side. So that was one of the reasons I wanted, and then also like you're a herbalist, so you're also one of the ones that like we have a couple that like hobbies of it, but like, hey, I do this. So can you kind of share a little bit more from like your perspective with men's mental health?
Yeah. So as a shaman, like from the spiritual side of things, there's a lot of wounding, and I might say some things that people don't understand or whatever, and feel free to ask questions, ask away. Um, there's a massive wound in men when it comes to uh, the sacred masculine, sometimes the sacred feminine, depending. But there's a huge wound around the sacred masculine. Normally, when that happens, it's rooted back with the father, the grandfather, even further back. And so that really prevents men, that blocks men from accessing their sacred masculine. Like we all have it within us, right? It, it they don't access it in the right way. right? So they think that the masculine, what we've been traditionally conditioned to believe, is that masculine is beating your chest, going out, cutting down a tree, going hunting, fishing, building a house. The sacred masculine is presence. It's about your aura and what you give out, the protector, the provider, all that stuff, right? So because of the wounding that has happened, the ego takes over, and then we enter into the realm of chest beating alpha males, which I don't have a problem with, right? Like there's a part of society that that fits perfectly. But without that, without the legitimate sacred masculine like energy, then your life is out of balance. Now, if you're in the sacred feminine, right, like you're having wounding around the sacred feminine, right, like when it comes to the women in your life. So, for instance, if your mother left you or she passed away and you didn't receive that unconditional love from your mother, or you've had, partners, you know, um, you've had partners in your past that have done some serious damage. You have that wound around the sacred feminine, so that prevents you from accessing your feelings and actually talking about your feelings and being able to walk in balance with the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine. We all have both of those inside of us, and it shouldn't be a war that's raged or a competition inside, right? They should be balanced and moving forward in that way. So what I've learned is, and especially in my own stuff, because doing the work, I had to do the work myself. So I noticed that with me, I had an imbalance in both, right? Like I had the sacred masculine wound and the sacred feminine wound, and I did the work on myself with the assistance of my teacher to work through that. And I'm kind of walking in perfect harmony at this point. But with herbalism, man, herbalism is crazy because it's a lost art form that is being reintroduced to the world, right? Uh, we're kind of stepping out of the crisis of the drugs and big pharma, and people are starting to wake up to realize that natural remedies actually work, and they're not just pseudoscience. Um, and it's been great to I sell what I make, and I don't sell it at some astronomical price that you would have to go and sell your kidney for, and sacrifice your firstborn, right? It's very limited, or very low pricing, but I do that as a way for people to have access to healing in a natural remedy, right? Like I've been off pharmaceuticals for a year, and I feel more normal now than I have ever felt in my whole entire life. I take my natural remedies, all plant based, all herb based, and it's been super beneficial because not only am I getting the vitamins and the nutrients that I need in my body, but I feel better too. And that's so important. You're right. Especially, if we're talking about men's mental health, it's important for men to feel okay. Like, not saying that women shouldn't feel okay, but specifically for men. There's a lot of things that we've strayed away from as men, taking care of our physical health, eating healthy, living healthy, sleeping healthy, working out, all that stuff that we haven't done. And I introduce this into people's life for a way for them to start on a path of a more healthy lifestyle.
It's amazing. Thanks for sharing and giving people a better explanation for it. I don't really have any questions with the energy because I understand you have to have a
Yeah, you
balance,
understand.
and yeah,
Yes.
it's I get um, I get like complimented about how I have a pretty good balance, but also how they feel safe and secure with women. And same thing with the guys. They're like, "Hey, I feel really safe and secure with you," but also like I could tell you anything, and they know I'm not going to go tell it to to other people. Like it's actually it is sacred. That's the other part. Um, we're coming up to like 30 minutes, and um, I'm trying to like think of how I wanted to go out with this, right? But
Yeah.
also at the same time, man, like all these talks, all these conversations, man, I've got to learn so much from others throughout this whole process. And it was really, it's a byproduct of like, I just wanted to bring the awareness up. And so, man, it's like, I can't wait till tonight to really reflect on it and to really have a conversation with Sarah and let her really dive deep and see what shifts I could use and which ones that feel like are coming up for me, and sharing that with other people. Uh, yeah, man, it's gonna be weird waking up tomorrow and not having something to do.
Well, the work that you're doing isn't just teaching you things or teaching your audience things. It's shifting the stigma. It's bringing light to things that normally we wouldn't talk about. And I hate that it has to wait till we get to June to do it, right? Like we could be doing this shit all year round. But sometimes that's the case. But I think you've really found something beautiful.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And so I'm just gonna let's just leave it at that. Let's just leave it at that right there. Yep. All right. So that is episode 30 of Show Up to Win, present Show Up to Heal. I'm your host, Dwayne Morton. My guest, Sean Young, coming on and just dropping a mic, and we'll see y'all tonight about the recap, and then we'll tell you like what's next. Thanks.